Hey guys, it's Bear here with Journey to Preparedness, helping you prepare not for your doomsday, but your everyday. So on this week's podcast, we discussed how to prepare and cook the food that you've been storing for a while. We didn't get into long-term dehydration and salting and curing of meats and stuff like that. That's something for a different podcast. This is just strictly how you're going to cook the food that you've been storing. Your mountain house, your canned goods, and things like that. So we kind of went into detail about different options you have there. And I'm going to go over a couple of those today. And I'm actually going to give you a bonus one that I didn't go over, something I didn't discuss in the podcast. So you're going to get something added, I guess is the best way to put it. First thing we discussed was fires. You can cook over a fire and stuff like that. But if it happens to be a SHTF type situation, societal collapse, are you really going to be out there advertising that you have food, people smelling it while you're cooking on your grill or cooking over an open fire or anything like that? Is that really something you're going to want to be doing necessarily? Probably not. So you're going to want to look at some alternatives besides just relying on, cooking on a grill or cooking over an open fire. The bonus item I'm going to give you here is if you do have a fire and you are out, trying to survive in a bug out location or out in the wilderness, one of the options that you can use, and especially in your bug out bag, is to keep some of these little shelf angle brackets here. And the nice thing about these is, now this one's coated, so you'd want to try and get ones that aren't coated. But these, you just drive them into the ground. You can get 3 of them set up like a little tripod, and then you can, set your container, your pot or whatever in the middle, and it'll hold up, and it works a great cooking surface. I've actually used these out in the field before when we went out camping, just to try them and see how they worked, and they worked awesome. So that's a little bonus that you didn't get in the podcast. Great for a bug out bag, a get home bag, something that's compact, lightweight, and can easily be just driven right into the ground, and then you can build a little fire underneath and cook on top of that. But again, are you going to want to rely on that fire? People see the fire, they smell the fire, they see the smoke, they know that you've got a heat source, they know that you got food cooking, so you're going to want to rely on maybe something that's not so visible and not going to give off that scent in the air. Especially doing it outside where people could be walking by, and you're not going to start a fire in your house. Some alternatives we talked about was the old Coleman camp stoves, the green ones, 2 burners. They've got those, those you can pick up relatively cheap, and you can find them on, Craigslist or the marketplace all the time, used for next to nothing. They're great deals. One of the ones I actually have is an older one that uses, you can use the camp fuel or you can use gasoline. So that's a great alternative. Multiple fuel sources. You can do the single burner little butane stoves, and those are just butane. They also have them propane. That's another, the camp stoves, they also have propane, so those are good. You can use these little, I got a couple different varieties here, and these actually they're like a jet boil, so they go right on top of these little small canisters, and these are actually a blend of fuel, like the jet boils are. They are propane and butane mix, and then all it does is these little burners here. I'll show you exactly how this goes. So this one here opens up, this flips open like so, and then it screws right on top of here, and then you just set your little pot on top there. These things are great. They work really well. They work fast. Only problem is you're not going to get a big pot on there, so you're kind of limited that way. But I do have a couple of them. This one's a little smaller, a little more compact, but they store away nice. Again, they cook relatively quickly. Sorry, put that one together here. This one here just a little bit smaller, a little more compact. You can see that. Again, it's just screws right on top of there. They're great. They work well. The problem is that you're not going to be able to put a big old pot on there. So it's got to be something compact and small. But they do the job, and it's a great alternative to have. We discussed things like solar ovens. You can make your own solar ovens. You can buy like the expensive, they get pretty pricey, like the sun ovens and stuff like that. They're great to have. They cook very efficiently, very slowly, so you don't have to worry about burning them and stuff like that, which is a great alternative. You can make them yourself, so there's plenty of plans out there. My son actually made one last year at school as part of a project, which I thought was pretty cool that they actually did that as a the class project. Each one of them took a little shoebox and made a little solar oven, and they actually, I don't remember what they cooked in it. It was a pancake or an egg or something like that, but so that was really cool. And him and I this summer are looking to build a bigger one, just kind of experiment with it and stuff like that. So I'll try and do a video on that when we do that, but that's one of the projects we're looking for. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool, and he really enjoyed it. And so you can build your own instead of buying the expensive ones. Like I said, they're great for being able to kind of set and forget in a sense. You might have to turn them a little bit to keep with the sun as the day goes on. They do take quite a long time to cook, which is a downside, but at the same time, it's it's set and forget in a sense. It's also not going to put off a lot of odor or visibility, and if you build one yourself, people aren't really going to know what's going on. If you got a big sun oven or something like that, they might, if they've seen them before, they might get curious as to what you got going on in your backyard. Part of this is not having the visibility, not letting everybody know that advertising, hey, I got food and I'm cooking it here, ways you can do that, ways you can, boil water heat your water for your mountain house to rehydrate and cook those meals, things like that. And so that's why you want to get into these other, the little Coleman stoves, the butane burners, the little jet boils, things like that. Something that's compact that you can do indoors. You don't have to worry about, people being able to see it or smell it. You don't want to be outside frying up steaks and bacon and, let everybody know that you've got an abundance of food and you could put yourself in a situation that you might not want to be in. So if you want more information and more of what we discussed, again, go to journeytopreparedness.net, click on the podcast. It was podcast number 27, and it was preparing the food you've stored. So give it a listen. You can also find our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or any other source, Spotify, any other podcast source, wherever you get your podcasts from. We're there. We're available. Take a look at us. Or, like I said, you can go directly to the website. All right, until next time, this has been Bear, Journey to Preparedness, helping you prepare not for your doomsday, but your everyday. Peace.